That is true, but we'll do
Let's
our
see how
best.
many people are here.
We're supposed to get about 56 is what I just saw on the registration, so that was kind of exciting.
50?
56.
56.
Yeah, I'll double check that. Hi, Lenny.
Hello, everyone. So yes, it is ambitious. So we're gonna try to like keep our comments,
Brief.
short, concise, and brief. So yes, I have a small 5 to 10 minute presentation to kind of set the stage for the PowerPoint. I'm sure Teresa just kind of told you guys that. And I kind of gave you guys a little bit of like some softball questions. We have 2 people working the chat function, and they're going to summarize some of the questions. But for the most part, the first 30 minutes is kind of going to be kind of scripted. So kind of have an idea of what we're doing. And then the last 30 minutes is kind of going to be a little bit more free range. I am surprised that we got that many people. I know we may have some supporters and some detractors. So our job is to just present the plan that we worked hard on and just kind of go with that. I have been working on my opening statement and what to say and some of the other stuff. So I think tonight's going to be good. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Lenny, you have an awful echo in your audio.
How about now? Is that better?
That's a little better, yeah.
I thought I hurt myself again. Oh, wait, that's because Shauna's online. Shauna, are you in the room? Okay, I think okay. Let me close here.
Can everyone hear me?
Hello.
Hello? All right, thanks. That's my sound check.
Can I do a sound check? I'm coming from a random hotel room. Well, it's not random, but it's a Holiday Inn.
Nice. Are you in for a conference?
I am actually in Lapeer today and working with some folks in the Thumb. So, and Lenny putting the final touches on the ERC program.
Gotcha. Really quickly, I want to go over correct pronunciations of people's names. Let's see. Shauna, can you turn your volume down? I can hear myself through the door. Okay, so Charles, is it Wiltsey?
Wiltsey. Yep.
Yeah, okay. I spelled it as Wilt and then the word C.
Yep,
Jim, is it Perry Ellis?
Yes, just like the clothing designer, Perry Ellis.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I put it out there phonetically. Rod, how do I pronounce you? Is it Djordens?
It's Djordens. Hard S is a Z. Djordens, yeah. Unless I'm in Sault Ste. Marie, then it's Desjardins. But I'm not in Sault Ste. Marie today.
Okay, so Djordens.
Djordens,
right.
Yes.
Okay, would you guys so like your bios are like 4 lines and I time myself. It's like 5 or 10 minutes to read all of your bios. So would you be offended if I summarize some of your high points?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Perfect.
Lenny, I'm sad you didn't have to practice my name.
You know how much Miller I've drank in my youth? Long before I became a pastor. Okay. Hello,
Hi,
Ms.
Amy.
Amy. Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
I'm going to try something here and make sure this works so I know what screen it's going to go to. Escape. Put that here. Slideshow from beginning. You want it? So are you saying that just to have them introduce themselves? Like to say their names?
Yeah, I just chatted Lenny. I was being all secretive, y'all.
I
But
know.
just, I know Lenny had these beautiful bios and was saying it's going to take a little bit to get through them. So I don't know how
I-
folks would feel after his introduction. I'm going to start asking the questions if I just, if you have you introduce yourselves and then ask the question, and then it might stick with people where you're from when you're talking, and then maybe save a little time for questions later. Yeah. Lenny, does that feel okay?
Yeah. So don't do the introduction. Just give just segue to the panelists, and then the panelists are going to say who they are.
But yeah, you can hand it to me, and then I'll be like, we're going to
Okay.
start with Amy. Can you introduce yourself? And Amy will say who she is, and then I'll ask her question, and then just kind of repeat that for each
Okay.
one. Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
I had intended to put the panelists. I mean, I can copy and paste your bios on the Facebook. I've just been super busy. I have been inundated with questions from the community. We made a WCMU, so go National Public Radio for a request for this interview. So, and Amy, so that document you gave me the other day to review, 5,498. So
Good.
that's how many units should have been when we looked in the region. So based on your math, on the internal math, that's where we ended up landing.
And those data, we're right now adding in. Sorry, I'm trying to eat candy to get my energy up. I won't eat during the webinar, I promise. But we're haven't factored in MEDC's data on job growth yet per county, but they have given us that information. So in the next week, that number should even go up.
Wow.
Assuming you're going to have some job growth in one of your counties or more.
Everybody can see that?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go through this really quickly. Make sure all slides look good. So what I would love to be able to do is to get out of the way. So what I've been accused of is me leading this effort. That's what I don't want. I want it to seem more than me, and to represent everybody in the group, and everybody in the region. So yeah, I know I'm the RHP lead, and sometimes I will be the face of it, but it needs to be a little bit more of the community. So I'm glad that we have, we got the Village of Roscommon in the background. Charles, we got you from Ogama, and Rachel, you represented Alpena, and we have, some industry individuals, so it's really great. And I can tell you there, I want to show you this to kind of give you some encouragement. I shared it earlier with everybody else, but while we have a little bit of time ahead of time, I want you to show you this. So give me 1 second. Google Forms. So we have been doing our community engagement survey, and as you can see, we're up to 186 respondents, and this survey's only been live about a week and a half. And as soon as they condense the numbers here. So Otsego has been rocking it. We have 91 respondents from the county of Otsego. But here's some of these questions that here we have. Does your region need more housing? We're up to 87.1% of all respondents say yes. How important is it to you to provide housing options for people of various income? 75%. That's 140 respondents. Are you open to the idea of affordable housing developments in your neighborhood if they're well designed and maintained? 78.5% people responded. So I think there's a lot more yeses than a lot more nos. So I know I've been kind of like giving your talking points about acknowledging the nos, but I really do believe that people are going to respond positively to what we're trying to do here. So I'm excited. Any questions for anybody? So are these participants that I see down here, are they in the weight room?
Correct.
Okay, I was like, wait, did I just show that to everybody in the other room?
Actually, let me see.
I think they're live.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, in about 5 minutes. Lenny will be kicking us off, but we are going to wait until we have more folks joined, and we're going to start right at 5 p.m.
I know some jokes. Awkward silence.
We're working to get Karen connected, and I think, are we missing anybody else, Lenny? Just double checking here.
Is Mike Erickson coming on?
Oh, you're muted, Lenny.
We're missing Mike. I believe he would have been sent the link. So
Oh,
we're just
he's
gonna
in
have to
the
proceed.
attendees. I'll move him over. I
Okay.
think we got him. Okay. Anybody else? Yay.
Hey, sorry about that. I've been watching you guys and jumping in and out and jumping back in, texting. I've got a backup computer going right now, so I'm a little deficient.
Karen, I think when you joined
Yeah.
using my link, it renamed you as me. So I just wanted to let you know that there's two.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm like, that was the only one that worked. Everything else was like, check your email, check your email,
Oh,
check your
no.
email. And I was getting no calendar invite.
Huh.
But
Well-
we're in. I'm going to rename myself, Emily.
All
Thank
right.
you for sharing it that way.
All right, you guys ready to go here?
Yep.
Yes. We need
Alrighty.
a countdown.
I know, a countdown clock, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our virtual town hall on regional housing, entitled Your Voice, Our Future in Housing. Tonight, we're embarking on a journey to create affordable, accessible, and inclusive housing for our community. As we discuss the Northeast Michigan Region E housing plan, we aim to address one of our region's most pressing challenges, housing. Before we proceed with our panel discussion, we have a special presentation that will set the stage for our conversation tonight. This brief but informative overview will cover our initiatives, goals, objectives, and timeline. It will emphasize the significance of diverse housing solutions and how this plan will positively impact our entire community. So allow me to share. So this is our Region E housing plan, and this is a brief synopsis of how the plan is going to work. The implementation is going to look like going forward. So we want local voices, local choices, and have a collaborative county engagement. In the partnership with our Northeastern Michigan Housing Alliance, each county within our region actively participate in the decision-making processes to shape the development and rehabilitation of housing units. This collective approach ensures that housing solutions align with the unique needs and aspirations of each county. So let's go deeper. So we want to provide a diverse option, an a la carte housing approach. This could include where your community or your county could choose single family homes as priority, multifamily homes units, apartments, townhomes, senior housing, condos, duplexes, attached ADU garages, modular homes, and the list can literally go on and on and on. But the communities, you will select what best suits your specific needs. We have a wide range of preferences and requirements within a community, from, again, the need for single family, need for multifamily, need for senior housing. But we also have a huge spectrum of individuals with what assets and wealth. You may have individuals that fall within the 80% of AMI. AMI stands for average median income. And then you may have individuals that may be higher earners are at 95%. Between these two values, this is usually where we see the bulk of most of your housing in communities, from rentals for sales to attached ADUs, between your 80 and 195% of AMI. Individuals that fall below that 80% of AMI are usually in your supportive housing, income housing, permanent supportive housing for things like shelters or things like that. So when we are looking to understand AMI, AMI stands as area median income, It is a household income from the median or the middle household in the region. U.S. Department of Urban Development, or HUD, publishes this data annually for regions. Data varies by household size. Exact household AMI is determined by a county and our household size. So I took Alpena County and I kind of wanted to give you a good idea of what that would look like. So as I highlighted earlier, 80% of AMI. So the average income or the median income for a single individual that would be considered 80% of area median income is $42,400. Now, when you break that down by 2080, you get a worker that makes about $20.38 per hour. So this is literally our working middle class. And then when you look at 100%, or 120% of AMI, that's $63,600. And then that breaks down to an individual making $30.58 per hour. Now to go towards a lower AMI, so 50% of AMI, that individual will be $26,500 a year, broken down by hour, be $12.74 per hour. When these rents are determined, and there are programs that we're looking at for our rents to target individuals between some of these AMI brackets between 80 and 100%, 120%, or 150% of AMIs, these are the average rents for our community. So for Alpena County, an individual at 80% AMI will be renting a one-bedroom studio at about $1,100 an hour. Excuse me, $1,100 a month. A one bedroom would be $1,178 a month. Going up to 120, you're looking at $1,650 and $1,767 for one bedroom. And then it just continues to go out from there. So I want to kind of get you guys to kind of understand when we start talking about average median income, we're not talking about unemployed individuals. These are working class individuals or blue collar individuals within these groups. So how does this work? So a community or county can say, we want 350 housing units, new infill units into our community. So they can determine how that breaks down. They can say, I want 150 workforce units targeting 80 to 100% of AMI. So that group that we talked about. I want 25 units working senior units or fully accessible units. I want another 25 multifamily units, duplex, attached ADUs. I want 100 units of single family homes, traditional stick-built homes and townhome style homes. And I want 50 units of supportive housing, meaning individuals under 80% of AMI. That's your 350 total. And then we would work that plan over 5 years. So that's how this all breaks down when you boil it all down. So how does it work step by step? Starts one with engagement with the communities. We're going to be working with your county commissioners, your local township supervisors, your local developers, real estate agents, and people in your community to initiate conversation with our local partners, city councilmen, and so forth. Then from there, we're going to develop the strategy based off of how many units and available developable property that they're looking at. And then from there, that strategy, we're going to be looking to find support funding. It may be from the state, maybe from private partnerships, it may be from private developers. From there, we would secure funding, then we secure construction. So we'll find builders, developers to begin construction on housing units. And then finally, hopefully we would then have turnkey home ownership. Individuals will take ownership of those particular units. So that's really the kind of nutshell, or just kind of a quick summation of the how this kind of works. We did release the plan for your review. So with that, I am going to stop share and turn it back over to our moderators. So again, thank you guys for attending tonight. We have amazing selection of experts and panelists. And we look forward to the conversation.
Actually, before I get started, Lenny, I don't know if you introduced yourself. Do you mind doing that really quick?
I know, so excited. My name is Lenny Avery, Economic Development Coordinator for Target Alpena. I'm also the Regional Housing Partnership Lead and a partner with MSHDA. I will be working as the reporting agency for our Region E, which includes the top 11 counties of Northeastern Michigan. So from the bridge all the way down to Iosco County and all points in between.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. And hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Gelati. I'm the Real Estate Program Manager from CEDAM, Community and Economic Development Association of Michigan. And I'm going to be here with Emily doing some moderation with this awesome panel we have tonight. As we go through, I'm going to be asking them a question or two, having them introduce themselves. But I want you to know that there's a question and answer feature. And please, as they're talking, as you think of things, as you think about what Lenny just shared with you, drop your questions in there. We'll be throwing those out to folks. We won't be bringing people on to talk. We'll be asking you to submit your questions in that Q&A feature. So go ahead and put those in there. We'll be pulling those out and asking them as we go, and then there'll be some time at the end. Also, we're going to be dropping in a couple polls as we go, and I wanted to start off with a really simple one. Hopefully this will be showing up on your screen about what types of housing does our community, and our community is the region that Lenny just talked to you about, and what kind of housing do you think we need? So check all that apply. I'll just take a moment for that to come in. All right, it looks like we need everything. But just give it one more second to finish up. All right, thank you. I think we're tied between affordable and single family, but also senior and other needs as well. So thank you for doing that. I'm gonna share that really quickly so you can all see that. All right, and there'll be a couple more polls as we go through. Okay, we are going to start off tonight with Amy Hovey. Amy, do you mind introducing yourself really quick?
Nope, I'm Amy Hovey, the Executive Director at the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. Happy to be here tonight.
Thank you so much. This all started when MSHDA wanted to start with a state housing plan. Can you talk a little bit about the state's perspective regarding the importance of the state plan and how the regional plans fit in it? And also how the state's going to be able to support these regions and really making these plans happen.
Yeah, happy. Always love a platform where I can talk about the statewide housing plan. So late last year, the state passed its first ever statewide housing plan. And to be completely honest, we're one of the few states in the country that has a statewide housing plan. But could not be at a more appropriate time, considering that our state is in a housing crisis. We're about 190,000 units short of where we need to be. And last year, I quoted the number 150,000 units. So, you know, we've got a ways to go. That the statewide housing plan, you know, was done in a very inclusive way across the state with lots and lots of stakeholders. And thanks to CEDAM, that you guys were a key player in helping us hear a lot of voices throughout the state, but really helped generate a framework for how to address the housing crisis. In Michigan, the governor got behind the plan, and she created a statewide housing partnership to oversee the implementation of a plan, because we don't plan just to put it on a shelf. We plan to implement. And one of the first steps in that implementation was the creation of regional housing partnerships. And we have 15 regions across the state. And the reason why we wanted to implement it on a regional basis is that every region is different. I mean, you probably have a lot of differences even within Region E. But we wanted the regions to take some time to think about what was in that statewide housing plan and look at what was most important to their region. to really think about where their priorities were, their needs, and their values of that region, and create a sub-regional plan. Now, we're wanting those plans for a couple reasons. One, it helps us identify how to allocate funds throughout the state. So we have some additional funds that came our way, thankfully. We now have the community development block grant dollars at MSHDA. And the legislature also awarded about $50 million in a housing community development fund. And rather than us just put that money in some of our existing programs and allowing the state's, agencies to apply for them as typical, we thought let's change it a little bit. We really want to get the statewide housing plan implemented, and we're doing that by implementing these regional plans. Let's put some money behind the plans to help implement them. So they're really informing us at MSHDA on how we need to put our money throughout the state. So we're looking at them. We're paying attention to them. They're very important to us, looking for themes. And when we're making funding decisions in E, we're going to be looking at that plan to say, wait a minute, we got an application in for A, B, and C activity. Is this a priority according to the regional housing plan? Is this meeting their needs, their values, and their priorities in making those decisions? So it's very important to us that the plan is in place, but it also has voices from everyone within the region and is using data to inform some of the decision making there. So that's kind of where we're headed. The draft plans were due at the end of August. You're in your public review period, which I know Lenny has been working very hard to get access to the plan to everyone in the region to allow for comments. We're really hoping that the plans are submitted by the end of this week in final form. And then you'll see MSHDA coming out with some new program areas within the next probably 30 days to allow for funding applications to come in.
Thanks so much, Amy. that was great to kind of see how it all fits within the state frame, where the region fits in, and really the extra support to make it happen. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and ask Mike to introduce himself real quick.
Will do. Thank you very much, Teresa. I'm Mike Erickson. I'm president of the Northern Region for My Michigan Health, which includes our hospital here in Alpena.
Great, Mike. So Amy was talking about the plan reflecting a lot of the needs within the community and really specific things. And coming from that perspective of running a hospital, it would be great to kind of hear about how does that work with you attracting the talent you need, the physicians, the leaders, all the folks at the hospital? How does housing play into it, and what kind of needs are you seeing?
I appreciate it. Yeah, first of all, thank you for allowing me to join this panel. As the largest employer in the region, this is something I'm definitely passionate about and experienced myself when I relocated to the community here 15 months ago. The lack of housing is definitely having an impact on us. So we need, several types of housing, which Lenny was referring to earlier, to support our staff. So we need apartments, for singles and small couples and small families, as well as single family homes for larger established families. We've definitely lost qualified candidates that we're competing against other folks due to that lack of available housing. Many of our positions are in fields that are highly competitive, and the person can go anywhere, whether it be a physician or a nurse, a respiratory therapist, et cetera, right? There's a shortage of all of these throughout our region, the state, and the country, quite frankly. So when we're competing against those, in order to be competitive, in my opinion, a community needs the big three, I call it. You need good education, good healthcare, and affordable, available housing. If you don't have those, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to compete. It's to Maslow's basic physiological and safety needs. Once those are met, which is really what we're talking about with housing, then we can start talking about the other lifestyle things that we can bring to bear in this community, like our outdoor activities, some of the arts, dining, the other things that there are to do. But without that basic, safety and security need being met there, that's a problem. It definitely is affecting our ability to recruit to the area.
Thank you for that. So we're switching a little bit to the rural areas. Lisa, do you mind introducing yourself?
Mute there. I'm Lisa Miller. I'm with the Michigan Office of Rural Development. I do engagement and outreach. And just so that everyone knows, our name will be changing by December 1st. We will be known as the Office of Rural Prosperity. So just a heads up on that.
Well, thanks. We'll keep a lookout for that. Lisa, what advice do you have for rural communities? It's a little bit different picture than some of the smaller cities, looking to enhance their housing options. And where do you see your office kind of fitting in to helping to make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, our office was established about a year and a half ago, and ever since then we've been doing engagement activities across the state with rural communities, and housing has come up across the board as one of the number one barriers to meeting individual communities' priorities. And so one of the things that our office has done has been work very closely with Amy's office to be able to make sure that we're helping to deploy some resources as available. And one of the things that we champion, and I don't think this is necessarily different across rural communities compared to the other communities, but is planning. And planning and capacity, you need to have a plan. And so we have been excited to be a part of Northeast plans as they move forward to be able to think about how they can support the needs of each individual community within the larger region. In terms of advice that you had mentioned, you know, the things that we're continuously talking about, I'm sure you'll hear about today, is planning, but planning also in the broad sense of taking advantage of all of the different tools that are available. So those might be tools that are coming out from MSHDA, land banks that might be at your disposal, different programs like TIP, looking at your zoning and thinking about how your zoning plans connect in with what the needs and objectives of your community, and really truly fostering kind of the cross-sector partnerships, which I think is so wonderful to see so many different folks on the call today, everything from philanthropy to employers to state agencies, because really to be able to do the work that we're aspiring to do and to build this many houses and to really kind of put this much energy into our communities really is going to take the cross-sector collaborations. And so that's been something that our office has been championing, whether it's trying to facilitate some of those relationships. We have a grant program that is helping folks do that collaborative planning. So those are some of the things that our office has been championing and wants to continue to champion and work with our partners here in the Northeast.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And it is really great to see, as everyone's introducing themselves, all the different parts of the community represented. And we're going to go over to Rachel next. Rachel, can you introduce yourself?
As soon as I unmuted myself. Hi, I'm Rachel Smolinski. I'm the city manager for the city of Alpena. I've been here for about 4 years, but I'm certainly no stranger to housing, and worked for community and economic development nonprofit and many other things that worked on housing. So when I first came into the community, it was apparent to me that, you know, we had a housing issue. And really the first step to trying to have an impact on that is bringing groups together to our housing stakeholders to start talking. And, you know, we like action too, but we have to start somewhere. So we brought together the Alpena Housing Task Force. And then came the opportunity to get involved with the regional housing partnerships, which is a really unique that we have Target Alpena here to, you know, take the lead on that. So we have a real opportunity to also not only collaborate locally, but to collaborate on a more regional level to keep us all connected and look at those different tools that are available. But looking at Alpena specifically, you know, so I want to stress that there's not a one size fits all here for our plan. So we really do need to work at the local level to bring different tools to the table and to collaborate. Here in Alpena, we've been really fortunate to already meet for, I think it's been about 1.5 years now, and pull together a housing study. And Mike Erickson is part of that group. Lenny is part of that group. We have several other in the organizations in the community that are part of that group. but we're really looking at different types of housing. We've recognized with that study that we have, well, the study actually identified that we needed an additional 284 rental units. That didn't include just, the single family that we need. And I actually think that that number is low. So I think the more housing units we can bring in, then the more competitive we can be, like Mike pointed out. So our study identified that we were looking specifically for more housing in the moderately priced homes within the range of $175,000 to $250,000. We're also looking at market rate rentals. We're looking at workforce housing rentals, across the full spectrum. So in the regional housing plan, we put out there for our region, and I work specifically on housing stock, 5,000 units. But when you look at that and spread across the region, that's really, really feasible for us to do as communities. And if we have a little more population in our area, like we do in the city, then perhaps we have a few more units here. So not only can we look at housing units, but also in these local and regionally, we can look at being housing ready as a community and looking at our zoning and different things that lend to that. We can also look at tools that can help communities develop housing, such as land banks, brownfield authorities, different types of incentives, because we all know that there is a huge funding gap between what you can sell or rent something for and what you can build it for. So that's really important. We also want to increase housing stability through financial literacy. So we're trying to bring those types of services. We've also had a lot of discussion around supportive services for unhoused individuals. We've recognized that that's an issue in our community. So really, it's starting at that local level and coming together collaboratively, but it's really important to have this umbrella with a regional housing partnership and being able to collaborate with everyone on that level. Thanks.
Thank you. That was great. And I really appreciate hearing all of the detail about the study as well, previous even going into this regional housing plan. Going over to Charles, can you introduce yourself really quick?
Hello, Charles Wiltsey, Ogama County Commissioner. I'm very pleased to be here.
Well, thanks, Charles. Well, we heard from the city of Alpena. It'd be great to hear from you on a county perspective on where you see the importance of this regional approach and anything else you want to add to that.
Oh, absolutely. In Ogama County, especially West Branch being right there on I-75, we really are growing, and we have just a huge, huge demand for housing, from single family homes to apartments. And we just really have a long ways to go to be able to get there. So really excited to be a part of this. A lot of good, smart people on this committee and this partnership. And I think we're going to be able to do some really great things.
Sounds good. Jim, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here as well. My name is Jim Perriellos. I am the Economic Development Director for the little village of Roscommon, Michigan, in Roscommon County. And this housing crisis, if we want to call it that, is pretty complex. And as a number of you have already, covered, the issue is diverse. It's got a lot of different, it's not cookie cutter. And I think I heard kind of that statement a few different times. And so the approach that we take, even though it is a statewide housing plan, to allow the different regions to be able to customize our needs, to survey our people, find out, how to collaborate with one another. Even in the number of meetings that we've had so far, probably one of the best ways that we've benefited in Roscommon County is having a conversation with Charles and some other people, and how do we attract developers, and how do we do a housing study, conduct a housing study, who do we hire, who do we contact? So all of that collaboration, information sharing is really important for a county like ours. I like to describe the state of Michigan like as if we're a zoo, and each region is a different animal. The lions and tigers are down south. We monkeys are up here in Northeast Michigan, and our needs are a little bit different. And the lions and tigers, if it were a statewide initiative and it wasn't as regional, maybe, no pun intended, a lion's share of the resources would end up in the South. And so to be able to communicate to the state that the monkeys need something, and the monkeys, our needs are different. And then even, I believe Rachel or Lisa mentioned something about, the diversity of even within our region. Roscommon's different from Otsego County, and so what you guys got going on in Gaylord is amazing, and Roscommon is a little bit slower paced. Our little village has 1,000 people in it, and we just want to make sure that the monkeys are able to eat a little bit. So
Thanks, Jim. Karen, you're coming from a philanthropic perspective. Do you mind introducing yourself and kind of talking about how your organization fits into this?
Yes, I'd be happy to. My name is Karen Beyer. I'm the Director of Community Philanthropy with the Otsego Community Foundation. I sit on the steering committee, and also I am the co-chair of the housing ecosystem, which data, foundations like data, our donors like data. They want to know, how are you moving the needle? And it's really important. We've said it in multiple different ways, but collaboration, partnership, regional level, we need each other. We need to learn from each other. We need to be there for each other. And this really has opened our eyes on, different aspects, or given us ideas, or been able to share some ideas. Our local OCEA did a housing study. The tornado hit us, and their board said, yep, go ahead, do this housing study. It's really needed, in that information that was gathered is so important. We had a housing issue before, but then when you lose 100 other homes, it's even harder and magnified. So how can philanthropy help with this? There's different avenues. Philanthropy can convene leaders. They can host small local meetings. They can bring legislators and area business people and stakeholders together for some actionable pieces. What can you do for us? We need letters of support. So they can do that. And there's also something called impact investing, and that is your charitable piece where foundations or private trusts can give money within that program, and it's just at a very low interest rate, and then they get paid back, but they're investing in the community. So impact investing is something that's a little scary up here in the north. It doesn't really happen that much. I remember the first time I went to a conference, and a small little town really didn't have a hotel, so their foundation did an impact investment grant, and they purchased this hotel that was kind of run down, and they helped redo it, and they got their money back. So that is one way. In philanthropy, a lot of people feel it's the downtrodden. It's the whole community. We have to be there for those that need the human services, but we also need to help with the developers and gap funding, and to try to move the needle. So that's why we're around the table.
Thank you so much, Karen. And it's great to hear all the different pieces and approaches that are coming at this. And Rod, you have a unique perspective too. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Thank you, Teresa. My name is Rod Djordens, and I will be the token Youper in this discussion. I am currently serving as the SOAR Regional Navigator for Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Housing and Homeless Services Division. Prior to that, I served as the Housing Director for Community Action Alger Marquette, which was the Housing Assessment and Resource Agency for the central 10 counties of the UP, where we provided most of the housing support and homeless services for those 10 counties. Concurrent with that, I served 20 terms as the mayor of Munising. While housing director of Community Action, we transformed the Holy Family Orphanage in Marquette into 56 units of deep subsidy, low-income housing tax credit rentals, with the first Section 811 housing units in the state. Based on that experience with the developer, I attracted that developer to Munising, and now we are working on 38 units of workforce housing in the downtown area, a process that has been 5 years in the making. And I serve 36 counties, everything north of M55, and I am at large and have latitude to assist local communities in their efforts to increase and improve access to affordable, attainable housing.
Thank you so much. That's amazing experience and that you're bringing to this as well. So we made it through our panel. We were really concerned with all these wonderful people getting a moment to speak because we wanted to make sure we had a lot of time for questions. So I think I've seen a couple come in, but just really encourage anyone who is out watching tonight and joining us to throw some questions out to this amazing panel. And yes, I think I'm going to hand it over to Emily, who's going to field some questions, and I'm going to see if we have a poll to go in the meantime.
Sure. Yeah. Why don't we start while you're doing that, pulling up the poll? We'll get to the second part of Marie's question because the first part of her question was answered about ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units. But there's a part 2 here, and it's directed to you, Lenny, but I think really anybody on the panel can pipe in here. So Marie said, in Lenny's presentation, you demonstrated the hypothetical plan for Alpena County, which included 100 stick-built homes. Will those be built via grants as well, or do you plan to reach out to contractors? How does this get built? What is the plan there?
Sure, I'll answer, then somebody else can also. So Marie, thank you for your question, first and foremost. So the answer is yes and yes. So we'll have tons of different programs. So let's say, for example, if you're in that AMI bracket of 80%, and that's your $20 an hour individual. Well, your credit score, say, is 660, and the bank comes at you and says, you can get a loan at 9% interest. Well, you may not be able to afford a house. You may not be able to afford the home that you're looking for. So what we want to be able to do is offer you tools and programs where you can come and work with some lenders like Nicolay, Northland Area Federal Credit Union, and some other lenders within the region that work with MSHDA products and MSHDA programs, where someone in your situation, hypothetical situation, could qualify for a MSHDA loan that could qualify you up to a $225,000 home. That may be a traditional stick build. It may be a modular type project, but you are getting skin in the game. No one is handing you a free home. You are putting in the equity. You are putting in the opportunity. We're just bringing the bar to where you can get that attainability, because you may be working with a first-time homebuyer program, or you are working with a community partner. So the answer is it's everything on the table. It's a la carte. So we have private investors. If there's a private investor, I was contacted just recently. Private investor wants to buy 217 acres to create what he calls a small Martha's Vineyard. And he wants his houses to start at $750,000 and up. So we get these calls all the time. So it's just not for one section or the other. There's higher sections of housing for these individuals as well.
We don't have any current questions. So Teresa, do you want to go to the next poll question?
I can pop in with some
Oh,
answers.
I'm so sorry. Yes, please,
Programs
Amy.
that helps
Yes.
back up what Lenny said, and the fact that, you know, at MSHDA we have several different programs. One was the loan program that Lenny mentioned that comes with a down payment assistance grant of $10,000. So that kind of helps subsidize it and make housing a little bit more affordable. But we also have CDBG funds and the Housing and Community Development Fund, as well as the new housing subsidy TIF that Lisa mentioned in her intro a little bit, that will provide for helping for housing up to 120% of area median income. So there is a possibility of some grant funding for some of the lower end and workforce housing, right? Because it costs $375,000 in Michigan to build a 1,200 square foot house. You know, only 1 million of our 4 million families can afford that. So a lot of the housing that we developed, even for our middle class, is going to need a little bit of something to get us over the hump of making that affordable. So we are here at MSHDA to try to help where we can. We love when we see philanthropy at the table, because that's always helpful as well. And the mention of land banks who can help bring some affordable land. Like, I think getting all the pieces together is how we approach getting those 5,000 housing units built. And I did just reinforce and love Lenny's comment that it's not all affordable, right? When we looked at your numbers, there's a nice chunk of higher end housing that needs to be built as well. And so it's just a matter of having something for everyone who chooses to live in your community.
Thanks, Amy. And we have a quick question as well. So Eric asked, are all 11 counties already pledged to the plan? So there might be some more context that we could also share around the participation in the regional housing.
I guess I can speak towards the participation. Back at the end of April, over 80 stakeholders, over 11 counties were represented. So from every community had a representative at the table that was representing the community in which they serve. So from Alpena to Alcona to Iosco to Montmorency, Presque Isle, and all points in between, you had somebody at the seat at the table, either your local housing commission, your economic development organization, your local county commissioners, if we have 2 in the room, to township supervisors, to your community action agency, to your local nonprofit, to your philanthropic. You had someone at the table representing your community to help this plan along. We have met more than 5 or 6 times over the last 4 or 6 months, hours at a time in a room, working this thing out of what priorities. We even champion certain goals over others, and we went back to the table and debated the way our Congress should be working right now. We came to a consensus and said, this is what we want to do. These are the priorities. So to answer your question, Eric, yes, your community was represented, but that doesn't stop there. We're going to continue to engage. This is not just for the ethos of a county. This is for the people and the residents of Northeastern Michigan. So just because your county may not want to engage with, say, creating a land bank, doesn't mean a local resident living in that community can't engage with MSHDA program or MSHDA project, or work to get residential rehab, to get something fixed on their particular house. So, there's an overarching plan, and then there's an underlying supports for each and every resident within our community, all 215,000 of them.
Thank you, Lenny.
I have some results from this poll folks were filling out, so I'll share it really quick. Thank you, 19 folks who answered it. And this was what parts of the regional housing plan are most important to you, and you can choose more than one, just so you know. Affordable housing came up highest at 79%, followed by sustainability at 68%, then economic impact, housing rehabilitation, and supportive services. So thank you for filling that out for us.
I think the one thing I'll also mention, I haven't heard any of the panelists talk about yet. As we look at availability of housing, the one thing we didn't really talk about was also the age of the fleet, if you will, right? Is that we do have a lot of homes that are aging. It's like we missed like a generation of build, probably because of those expenses or because of the last recession that we went through or whatnot. But there's definitely, when you look around in a lot of these communities, you have a lot of, the 1940s and 50s, and then probably into the 70s and 80s and maybe into the 90s, but not a whole lot much newer than the 90s if you really look around. And that becomes problematic too, as you start reaching the life cycle of a lot of these homes, whether it be, the serious infrastructure expenses with roofs and furnaces and, hot water heaters and windows, et cetera, right? You start then having to put some substantial reinvestment even into the homes that are there. I know it was touched a little bit on some of those available dollars for, some of that for folks. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Even if the to Rachel's point of thinking the numbers are understated, I would agree that it's not just new build and expansion of availability. It's really redeveloping some of what we already have as assets that are aging.
If I could add to that, thank you, Mike. That is a great point. When you look at the city, there are some developable lots, but there just aren't a lot. So a lot of those numbers are going to be in the rehab of existing units. So that's a very important point. And I think we're going to see a lot of development out into the more rural areas, which isn't ideal when it comes to transportation sometimes and available resources, but that may be where we see a lot of our new units, and that can be challenging with some of those barriers.
To kind of piggyback on both of you guys, and that's kind of why we set why the task force and the group put together a target of 5,000 units, because some of these houses have been around since the Carter administration. So we do have older units, and they may not be energy efficient. So we may have to work on some weatherization upgrades, some energy efficient windows, upgrading to their HVAC systems. We may have older residents who may be living in their homes and may want to stay in their home longer, so they don't have to move into an institution like a nursing home that may need some help with their activities of daily living. So yes, the social worker hat's coming out. So we may have to install things like grab bars, like ramps, bathroom modifications. So those are the programs that we're going to be rolling out as part of this rehabilitation program. We are acutely aware that our Northeastern Michigan hosts a lot of seasoned residents. I'll say it's seasoned because our average population is 55 and higher. So we have a lot of seasoned residents. So, and as we continue to age and we age in place, those older homes may have been suitable for the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and up to 90s, but it's not going to meet a turning radius of a wheelchair. It's not going to allow barrier-free step entry. Like some of these individuals have beautiful homes, but they have 3 and 4 steps to get into those homes. So that now that beautiful aesthetic choice in 1975 when the house was built now becomes a barrier to that individual who's currently living there. So, this is not just new infill. This is, again, like it was said, rehabilitation of old homes. It can also be for modulars. So individual, if you have an old modular home that needs to be attached to a foundation, we want you to apply for opportunities and help to rehab your home. A home is a home. So it's not what we consider a home, it's what you consider a home. A modular home in Lachine is not going to raise an eyebrow. So we have to kind of look at where we are looking individually. What is the character of the community that we're working with? who are the players that we're trying to target and work with, and then we'll design either new infill with community input, or we work on rehabbing. So it's a comprehensive plan, and I really thank all of you for bringing this to light, because as Mike said, as one of the largest employers in our community, we have our higher echelon of earners who are pushed past that 120 to 150, 170 AMI, and they're struggling to find. And I can only imagine, for our coffee barista, maybe making $12 an hour, who maybe in a nursing program cannot find an apartment to rent. They may be living with their parents. So these are some of the things that we are working on and going to be working through. So thank you for your comment, Eric, or our anonymous attendee. Sorry.
Lenny, I just wanted to verify that you were responding to the question about the weatherization funding and coordinating with regional plans. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And we have another question. Are there partners in the business community working with you to bring in more jobs to the new folks coming to live in our amazing communities? I'm sure you've already covered this, but might have missed it.
I'll start. I can't speak to the business partners bringing the jobs, but I'm looking at my other screen right here, and as of this morning, I have 108 openings, 108. 76 of those are full-time openings. So now not everybody's qualified to do all of those jobs. I recognize that clearly, but some of them are. I mean, I'm looking down, we've got, security officers, we've got clearly nurses and stuff, exercise physiologists, we've got medical assistants. We have things that we're training people and we'll pay to train people. We have grow your own programs and have been developing, more of that. We worked in collaboration with the community college, and to date we've invested over $550,000 in committing to train our local nurses to keep those folks local. $550,000, that's a lot of money for us to put back into our community, because it benefits all of us. But we have, again, I mean, right now 108, 76 of those being full-time right now. So I can't speak for any of the other employers in town, but from what I hear from a lot of them, we need more people that are willing to and able to get out and fill those roles. And, now granted, then they need somewhere to live. Yeah, we're definitely open for business. We're looking to grow. We are growing. So I'm definitely interested. Some folks, tell them to come on over.
I'm going to piggyback on Michael as far as a little bit of the education. I know here at the foundation, we have OCAN at Siegel Career Access Network, and that is very important because it's not just college. It can be just getting a career, getting certification, and you get them into some certification and staying in the program with the help of OCAN and their mentor series. Then they can make a more livable wage. Then they can maybe get a house. But it is very hard, because I'm sure we all have that friend who says, hey, my daughter's moving back to town. She's a teacher and she can't find a place to live. What is there? And it's very hard. So I think us coming together, I think the question was, are we trying to seek businesses to bring more people into town? I think part of the problem is that we have workers here that are leaving town because there's no place to live. We need to work on retention of our community.
Thanks, Karen. I want to pose a question as well that we didn't get to yet. For the group. And that question is, how can stakeholders and community members continue to stay involved and get updated on what's going on with the plan, continue to provide input, what events are happening? Would love to hear from folks about upcoming opportunities as we near the end of our time here.
one, they can do our survey that we have out that is due on the 29th. So can somebody put the survey and link maybe in the chat? If you haven't already done the survey, please do that. That's gathering information that we need. And then just, call those that that are doing the work and see how you can help them. That would be really beneficial. Or say, I would love to sit in on some meetings with housing, and it may be I work more with the seniors and I would like to have a voice there, or it might be I'd like to talk about being a nice big donor and helping with gap funding. So we are here.
Thank you. Did anybody want to add to that before I move on to the next question in our Q&A chat? Okay. So we've been talking.
Sorry, Emily.
Go ahead.
Mike, you just floored me just now with saying 108 jobs, good paying jobs working in a hospital with benefits. And it just kind of makes me scratch my head, to wonder, because you as one of our largest employers, you are at the crossroads of this intersection of housing needs and housing and employment opportunities. Yes, you may have the local shop that may be selling, retail clothing. You are, providing high paid jobs for our community. And, it's very difficult not to see the need for these individuals to be in our community, because these are the people who we really want to attract to the community, because they're going to have more discretionary income to spend in our stores, more discretionary income to buy goods and services within our communities. These are going to be higher tax valuable individuals. So, could you speak a little bit more to that, as far as how, housing development is economic development, and how this all kind of matriculates together?
Yeah, I appreciate bringing it up again. I can speak to it, as I mentioned earlier, personally, 15 months ago, it took me almost 2 months to find, even a rental, and over a year to find, some place to be able to purchase. So I understand, right? And, clearly, an individual that can afford a reasonable home, right? And there's very, very little available, regardless of what category you fell in there, So, yeah, and I mean, as I'm looking through this list on my other screen here, I mean, it's across the board, of income levels that we have these openings for, right? I mean, it's frontline people that will train and grow our own, whether it be phlebotomists or whether it be patient care techs, and that's not even including, our physicians or advanced practice practitioners. These are just staff, these are staff level individuals, not providers. We just have two different sections that we qualify those into. But again, to be able to have somewhere for that individual to live, to have a rental when they first come to town, to be able to see where do they want to live at. That was important for me, as being someone new to the community. I'd been in Michigan for 15 years downstate, but I'd not been in this community. So I was glad to be able to find something just for a year to be able to have as a rental, to know, well, where did I want to, purchase a place at? And then secondly, to be able to then move forward and acquire. And you're seeing some of these folks that as they graduate, or if they, not all these positions are collegiate positions either. I have front desk admitting clerks. We can't find them for, 4 or 5 months. Some of these have been open. Right? You've got to have a place for those individuals to live, to be able to get the jobs. But I think a lot of these folks that are going to start graduating from these investments we're making in the local community college, you'll see a lot of those new grads that might want a rental for that first year or two, to be able to transition, and then to be able to go into, as the, home acquisition. I think, these jobs support all of that, and we're trying to, grow our business here, because we do have an area of this community you know, there's more graying in northeastern Michigan than the rest of the state, and quite frankly, more than the national average. So more of you on us are going to need healthcare. I have some gray coming here too. So, at the end of the day, more of us need more healthcare as we get older. The statistics are pretty clear on that, and we're there to provide that. But if we don't have ability to recruit people, retain people, and have places for them to live, that's going to be a problem for us. It goes back to the big three I mentioned earlier.
Thanks,
Thank you
Mike.
for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, we have about 2 minutes left, so I would love to pass it back over to you, Lenny, to close us out. And I want to thank all of the participants for joining us today, as well as all of our panelists. Your input in the survey is really important. You showing up to meetings like this and taking time out of your day is very important. So we appreciate all of you being here. Lenny, you have the floor.
Thank you, guys. I want to thank all of our panelists and all of our guests. As we conclude this virtual town hall on regional housing titled Your Voice, Our Future in Housing, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you all. Your active participation and dedication to our community well-being are truly commendable. We've embarked on a journey together today, and one that is not just about housings and structures, it's about creating homes and communities where everyone can thrive. This session underscores our shared commitment to address one of the most crucial challenges facing our region, housing. We discussed the Northeastern Michigan Housing Plan. Our goals are clear: to build a future where housing is affordable, accessible, and considerate of diverse needs within our communities. Although our time together was limited, this is only the beginning of a broader conversation. Northeastern Michigan Housing Alliance remains dedicated to community engagement, continue to host sessions and workshops in the future. We understand that not every concern has been addressed. We're committed to working closely with your local partners to ensure decisions align and preserve the unique character of each community. Once again, thank you for your valuable insights, questions, and your comments to a brighter, more inclusive future for Northeastern Michigan. Together, we can transform challenges into opportunities of tomorrow. And with that, we will be sending out an email to you all to take our community engagement surveys. Thank you all for your time, and we look forward again to connecting with you. Good night. Bye, everyone.